folks, it's MJ, Breathe, Move, Shine. I'm so glad you decided to join us here. So I've had a couple of really interesting questions asked me. One is, when do you practice, MJ? I practice all the time, okay? Um, and, and I also take advantage of unusual settings to have a little practice that would have me become really resourceful and creative. I don't have any props with me here. I've got our picnic bench. I do have a camp blanket, and this is, you can tell, is our outdoor mat for sitting outside. So that's what I have. This is going to be the coolest prop that I've ever played with recently. Okay, so as we normally do, we'll just start seated nice and quietly, and I'm not real sure that you can hear the most beautiful breeze that is surrounding me here, but wherever you happen to be, wouldn't it be so cool if you took this with you camping? Okay, so breathe deeply. Keep it simple. This is going to be a fairly spontaneous little practice here. So hang in there with me. Thanks a lot. So the breeze is reminding me to lengthen my breath, and the temperature of the air is asking for me to move. It's gorgeous. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rest my hands right here on my thighs, and then scoop them up overhead, and then reach my body as tall as possible off the sits bones. And it's lovely to have the feet onto the earth and my bottom onto this wooden bench. And now my gaze going up to this gorgeous forest. And then I'm just going to exhale my hands on down to my heart. So I thought I would start out with a kind of a different way to approach down face dog. And I do this a bazillion times a day, no matter where I am, if it's the kitchen sink or my desk or my studio. It looks like this. And it's kind of nice here because my fingers can kind of curl into the intersection of those boards and start to press the hips really deeply back off the hinge of the fingers. Feels really nice. And what this is going to do is, as I have my feet in my shoes, deeply pressing into the earth, with wide toes. I'm going to start to in-breath, and as I in-breath, I'm going to drop the heart, and the gaze is going to come up. And as I out-breath, I'm going to start to curve the spine, send the shoulder blades rounder, and send my gaze behind me. And then in-breath. So it's 2 for 1. It's down face dog and cat-cow posture. This is one of my favorite asana to illustrate the movement of breath. Almost like I'm making an ocean wave out of the shape of my spine. All right, and then I'm going to come nice and tall. And why wouldn't I just right here, just go ahead and reach those arms overhead. And exhale, I'm going to let the right arm come down and reach over. Nice long reach off of the left foot, gaze up and down to find mobility in the neck. And then I'll breathe myself in, back up, and exhale to the opposite side. It's pretty easy to feel like a tree around here. And then in breath, come on back up. And then I'll exhale. So I'm going to use this bench as an interesting way to find lunges, okay? So what I'll do is I'll step right next to it. Got everything all lined up here nicely. And I'm going to take a hold of the bench right here and sneak my hand behind my back. And I'm just going to slide my foot. Why wouldn't I just watch that foot so I can see where it's going? So right here could be enough, right? But I'm going to decide to bend the foot that's on the floor. I'm just going to really bend that knee as deeply as I wish to. Now here's the deal. The benefit is here, I've got a bench right in front of me to hold me up. If I decide that's too much, I come up here. But ultimately, what would be really lovely is to reach this arm nice and high, the same arm, leg that's on the floor, and then gaze on up. Nice. And I'm going to breathe a few breaths. And then I'm going to let that hand come back down. What a perfect place for Hanumanasana, right? A nice long reach. You could stay up here to straighten that outside leg. Or you could come down here. Or maybe the elbow to the bench. Or maybe you're able to come even lower. But there's a whole bunch of different ranges available to you right here, yeah? You don't have to be all the way downstairs like I am. So I'm going to come on back up and drop that foot off the bench and take a little play time in the middle here. That was a nice long exhale. Then I'm going to raise myself up just enough to, again, really secure wide fingers, secure wide feet. Place the left foot down and lift up the right leg. So I'm going to press that heel away, just like this leg is pressing into the earth. And maybe I'm going to stay here with the bench, or maybe I'm going to see if I get a hand at a time behind me. Or maybe I'm going to use the bench right here. Okay, and I'm also going to make sure I send that right hip down. Very cool. And then return the right leg. And let's get a nice long in-breath here. Yeah. And then out. Well, of course, we have to go to the other side now, right? So here we come back down here. Set myself really strongly in the arms, a deep conviction in the feet, especially the right foot here as the left leg comes out. Again, press. Here's the trick when we're on the mat in our studio, pressing that foot away as if you're standing on a tree behind you in this case. And so strong through the core and the other leg that maybe you could release your arms wide. You know, I mean, you could come all the way forward again if you like, or hands to the bench. Then use an exhale to return that foot down. Here's another fun idea. Step your feet back a little bit. Curl your fingers around the seat of the bench. And then send the hips back and bend your knees a whole lot. Okay, so you're going to see me from the other direction now for that lungy thing. So I step to the front of my mat. I bend the knee. And I secure a hand onto the table. And then I'm just going to watch that foot slide back. You know, you wouldn't want this to happen, right? So I'm going to watch that foot slide back. So as I start to bend this knee, well, I mean, there are all kind of different ranges here. You could be way up here. This is a really great way to practice your lunges for when we're on the mat in the barn or the studio. So once I find a nice parking spot, settle those hips equally to the earth and raise up the outside hand. It'd be cool if the gaze could come up as well. And it'd be really great if the breath was as big as your body is here. And then on exhalation, the hand comes down. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this bench, the seat. Start to straighten the front leg. This could be enough right here for you to get range at the back of the leg. Or you could come down to the elbows. Or you can come all the way to the bottom floor if you like to. Sometimes I'll even take a hold of that foot and press it back. And then I use the breath to come back up, bend the knee. Let's go ahead and come tall. I'm always going to want to go here. This feels like a really nice reset for the spine right here. Okay, cool. So what I have planned here, hey, well wait, let's try this out. All of a sudden, Utkatasana just showed up. I'm going to use the bench to hold on to set the legs up for Utkatasana, deeply bending the knees and sending this is what I talk about, that the shoulders are higher than the hips. You see that my shoulders are higher than my hips. Well, here's a really great way to get there if you're not sure about it. All right, and plus you get to cheat a little bit because you're hanging onto the bench. All right, and maybe you're going to need that bench as these get super strong. You can feel those glutes and hammies back there. But then maybe if you shift the weight to the heels, you might like to see what happens if you float your arms back. You might even like to see what happens. Oh, maybe I'll just reach my hands here and get a little bit lower. Yikes. Alrighty, and then nice and slow. Let's get those arms back so we can broaden the heart space, lace those hands up. You know, this is the usual MJ move. Really love to keep that heart open and the arms long. If you need a strap back here, go for it. If you need to bend your elbows, that's cool. But I'm going to come really tall all of a sudden, right here, and then step myself around. And check this out. So we're going to use the bench here in this way. What I'd love you to do is slide yourself hopefully as far back so that the outside of your knees and your legs is meeting up with the edge of the bench, because it's a really great way to find the ultimate goddess pose. So let's go ahead and breathe those arms up. Then exhale with a squeegee hand. See if you might want to squeegee any alternate thinking that might be going on right now and get yourself really back into this present moment. Then float your hands to the top of your knees. Press your feet, start to press your feet to the floor so you're almost not even on the bench, okay? So the backs of the legs, the inside of the legs are really busy. Nice. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play around with that a little bit, coming up and down, until eventually, literally what's happening here is I'm leaning the outside part of my knees and the tops of the calf bones into the bench. So my butt is not on the bench. What's beautiful about this is it's really coaxing the outer thighs to press out. This is such an awesome thing. I'm going to try to figure out how to get a bench in the studios. It's really great, actually. All right. So all of a sudden, not lying, I'm feeling stuff in muscles that I forgot I didn't even know I had, just by pressing back like this. Isn't that great? And then in-breath those hands overhead. And we'll just do a little bit of a distraction of, why not, eagle arms on each side to soften out the shoulders, the neck, the face, the jaw. Deepen the breath. Still pressing away here. I hope I can walk tomorrow. This is awesome. And if you need to take a break, okay, it's really cool. Nice. And then in-breath really wide. Okay, folks, this is another MJ exclusive coming at you. Exclusive. I'm going to take a little break. Okay, I'm back up. Press the elbows together. Soften the face and the shoulders. Get really strong. Snap that navel center back. And then go ahead and let's reach those arms wide. Are you ready? Are you ready? Have a seat. So if any kind of luck you have some kind of bench at home that you could be doing this, this is the best part of the trip right here. So in-breath to center. And I am still engaging those outer thighs. And a little bit with my fingers here, pressing those legs toward the fingers. So this is not a vacation pose, although it feels really lovely. Okay then, so we're going to heel toe those feet together. We'll do a little side action. Okay, I'm going to place hands here, sit really strong, a little bit of a mini Dandasana where I'm staff posing. I'm pressing the hands so much that my bottom lifts off the bench. I got some tricep action going there, can you tell? Okay. And then let that go. But then press the hands still. Release one. I'm going to let you choose which one you want to let come up and breathe really deeply. So the arm that's reaching up, that same hip bone presses down. So if you're reaching up and the hips flying up, you want to really get that back grounded to the bench. And then come on back up. You know the deal. We like to address 6 major movements of the spine in our practice. Come on back up. Beautiful. In-breath overhead. And then exhalation. Alrighty. I think one more thing would be so lovely. So what you'll do is straddle your bench and take up a rolled up blanket, whatever you have laying around, and place it behind you. So you'll see that it's snugged up fairly close to the tailbone there. And then we're going to take a little stroll back. Very cool. And what I'm going to do is actually place my feet in a way that they're the same width as the bench. Place those feet to the earth. The knees and the ankles are stacked, and I'm kind of pressing into the bench. It's a little funny feeling, but I'm pressing into the bench, engaging the inner thighs. And I'm going to stay there for a while and place the spine, all the chunks, on that little bedroll behind you. And then reach the arms overhead. This feels absolutely, excuse me, sensational. So breathing really deeply as I press those thighs together. As I slide the shoulder blades down and reach the fingertips high. As I get this beautiful glint of sunrise in my eyes. Lovely. So what we might as well do a little tiny bit of core work here before we finish our sweet little time together, okay? So as my legs are pressing into the bench and my arms are overhead, I'm going to in-breath, and as I out-breath, the arms will come up, and I'm going to come all the way seated. So it's a little bit of a cool cheat that I get to grab onto the bench with the legs to then come back down. But the beauty of this is, I'm very excited about this all actually, is the inner thighs are working and so is the core. And how's the breath? And how's your smile? And how's your tude? Okay? Beautiful. Let's just do 100 more. You know I'm kidding. Let's get 4 more. This is a huge exhale, 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 exhale. And an inhale. It's like slinky spine, right? Slinky, slinky all the way down. And I think there's 3 more. Using the legs, using the core, using my joy. And 2. Woo, yeah. It's not unlike cat-cow, honestly, in some wacky way, right? Here's the cow. Here's the cat. Okay, let's be done with that, right? Let your legs go heavy and wide. Let your arms go heavy and wide, and maybe capture with your fingers the underside of the bench. And if you feel you'd like to reach into the psoas muscles, this is awesome. You could curl a leg under and curl the other leg under. And all of a sudden, this is the stuff that gets bunched up from sitting all day. Really lovely way to open that all up. You really need to breathe deeply here. Well, basically, I'd like to stay here for about an hour. But here's what we'll do. Nice and slowly for 3 more breaths. One more breath, my friends. And as I do so, that the arms come up, and the feet go back to the earth. And then I'm going to bring myself up. And then I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this seat right here. This is how we'll close today. You're, of course, invited to find a resting shape after this. But let's just have a seat with our eyes closed. And I'd just like to invite you to remember to use your creativity, to remember to use your resourcefulness. When do you practice yoga? It's a 24/7 kind of thing, if you really unpack it, you know. Many opportunities to find stillness and mindful movement all day long. Breath in, hands to heart. Breath out. Namaste, yogis. Thanks so much.